If you are a woman living her best hot mess express life while simultaneously crushing it, and you're craving more clarity, purpose, and excellence, get ready because you're in the right spot. I am your host, Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, and I want to welcome you to Season 2 of All Things Excellence, the podcast, where I'll be bringing you all the inspiration and insights your excellence-seeking heart desires. This season, I'm stepping back into chasing big, bold, and absolutely terrifying goals, sharing every honest step and misstep along the way. We're continuing our beloved Unscripted series, featuring live clarity coaching sessions with guests just like you, and diving deep into raw, behind-the-scenes stories of powerhouse women founders I am wildly obsessed with, whose journeys will fuel your own. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hey, my All Things Excellence fam, welcome back! It is officially Season 2. Here we are. And today I'm going to talk to you about the 8 things that I did on my 6-week sabbatical from our little podcast. So first of all, I just want to let y'all know, if you are watching the video, it is summer in Arizona, and my wardrobe for the next 2 months will officially be my hair back in a ponytail, and you will see me sporting my friend Jessie's endless series of these tank tops. She keeps giving them to me. She owns Next Level Pilates and Pilates by Jessie, where she trains Pilates instructors, but also where she has an online portal where people can go and just do Pilates at home, all the different types of Pilates. And she's my favorite Pilates instructor. She's been my instructor for years. Also a really, really great friend of mine. And so she, I tease her, I'm like, you literally sponsor my entire wardrobe. They're the most comfortable shirts. So you will see me in nothing but these tank tops and my hair pulled back for at least the next 60 days while it is 110 and beyond. Y'all, I'm so pumped to talk to you about what I got to do over my little sabbatical, other than driving my team insane. Because I was super aloof. My graphic designer, Taylor, at one point, we communicate mostly on the Voxer app. And at one point, she was emailing me like, are you alive? Seriously, are you alive? I'm really concerned, because she wasn't getting to do her job because I wasn't giving her the details. But y'all, I really, I checked out so hard. And it was so beautiful. It felt so good. It was honestly a little hard to come back. There was everything inside of me the last 24 hours leading up to finally recording all of the new trailers and intros and the graphics and all those things. And that was can we just push this out 15 days? I kept wanting to, but it was really just, I was being indulgent, y'all. When I go to that checkout zone, I love it. It feels so good. And just, really soaking in all of the quietness before the insane chaos kicks off. With my husband's job, he works at the school in athletics, 7th through 12th grade high school. And next week on Tuesday is the first game of the year. And he has to be at every home game for every sport for 7th through 12th grade. So it's just I think I've been dragging my feet knowing that the season is coming. And we love it when we're in the mix of it. It's so great, fun, and wild. He was even saying yesterday, he's like, I can't wait for the first home football game, which is kind of wild because we wake up every single Saturday talking about how hungover we are from these games. Because we work so hard at them and we are up so late. We're the last people to leave, cleaning every single piece of the game up because that's his job and I love being there with him. So yeah, that's where we've been at. So let's just dive right in. Okay, so first thing I did, 8 things I did. 1, y'all, I sat so hard in summer. My coach said to me about 6 weeks ago, she just said whew, she's like, your energy is just screaming summer. It is ready to sit in summer and enjoy it. And I was like, man, I love squeezing all the juice out of all the berries of life, but I really need to squeeze summer and just no agenda. And we kicked it off. The sabbatical really kicked off with us going to Iowa the very last week of June. and getting to just be there with my family. My brother was hosting his first annual truck show. So, truck show, imagine like you're going to a car show where people drive their cars in from all over the world, except for our country. People drove their semi, tractor, truck, trailer, whatever. I'm using the wrong lingo. Thank God they'll probably never hear this. They drive them in from all over the country. And there is a 2-day show, and there are awards and blow up things for the kids and food trucks and just there's all these crazy different events and a band, all this stuff. So we went back, and Kobe and I's job was to keep. I have two brothers. They're each married, and they each have two kids. So I have one niece and three nephews. They are currently 4, 4, 7, and 8. And our job was to keep them entertained and alive and fed, which when your littles are free range farm kids, it is so much harder than it sounds. So we did that. There was no way that I really could have been 110% one present to think to anything like this. But also over in my direct sales career, it was our fiscal year end. And I knew that this truck show was coming for months. My entire staff knew that this truck show was coming, and everyone knew that the moment I got on that plane and I headed towards Iowa, that I was done for the year. I was absolutely checking out, and my team supported me so well. And so one thing with that, guys, is I was able to check out so hard for summer, and especially in that final like 5 days of my fiscal year, because I work really, really well when I can, and I have systems that support me to work like when I can't work. And so I remember back, gosh, y'all, a long time ago, probably 11 years ago, that I used to be in this culture of every month end, it was this like hustle, 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 hustle to hit and finish these goals. And I remember saying something to my friend Jordan, and she said, "Oh, I don't do that." And I said, "What do you mean you don't do that? It's like the culture of like what we all do. Like, I didn't even know this was a choice not to do this." And she said, "No, I just actually show up and work when I'm supposed to work all month long. So I don't feel that pressure those last 3 to 5 days of the month to like really push and grind and shove the things through that to replace the work that I didn't do all month. I just show up when I'm supposed to show up all month long." And that was a huge mental pivot for me that not only served me in that career, but then has served me really well in other businesses. And in things, simple things like workouts. So I work out Monday through Friday. I do not work out on Saturday and Sunday. And I have no guilt about it because I'm really good at creating high structure and high discipline, because I believe that discipline is freedom. When your yeses are planned, your nos are easy. When you know you're supposed to show up and do the thing, you do it, because then you don't feel guilty when you're taking off. Okay. So if you'll do the thing you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, you don't have that lingering guilt that you're not working when you feel like you should be working or not showing up. And so it's just honestly honoring your time well. I had a mentor, her name is Jan, and she always said, timeliness is godliness. And so I always just felt like honoring someone else's time and even honoring our own time is one of the biggest reflections of really great character, but also being a woman of our word to ourselves. And I think so many women these days have really low self-trust. And I think it starts with something so simple as that, as honoring the commitments that we make to ourselves. Number 2, second thing I did was I released all pressure for results in every area, y'all. All the goals, the expectations, I released the pressure on, honestly, I even released the pressure on getting my 5 workouts in a week. Cooking, you guys know we have a very strict, we get to take out Tuesday, and then we always go on a date night in and out on Saturday. We're wildly routine people. I think part of it is my food allergies. I just don't really love introducing new things because I just don't have time for it. I do not have time to not feel 110% because of the calling I feel like I have on my life and the goals that I have. My goals are more important than indulging in things like crappy food, alcohol, all that stuff, which absolutely, you know what I mean? Like if that's your thing, do it. I just physically can't do it. Like I can't do it without feeling like crap. So I don't do it because of how my body responds. But I did release that cooking thing, and I cooked when I wanted to cook, and I ordered takeout when I wanted to order takeout. And I just kicked all the rules out of the door for 6 weeks and just let myself do what felt good in that day. Number 3, I did my own alignment edit. My alignment edit is my favorite offer that I offer for coaching clients. It's a 6-session series with in-between session support where we go over the 8 areas of alignment in your life. And I got really clear with those areas. Where do I want to be in the next 3 years? And absolutely no further. Because even 5 years, my coach was like, not 5 years. I want you to do 3 years. And so I did. I sat with my own alignment edit. And like my coach said, I only went over the next 3 years. And I got in the feels, like, how do I want my life to feel over the next 3 years? What are my goals that I want to see come into fruition over the next 3 years? And then I built in the metrics that will help me go after those goals. Number 4, asked myself then, what earns a seat at the table? And this was another thing my personal coach said to me. She had me just pull every single thing off the table. She said, good and bad, whether it's serving you well or it's not serving you at all or it's just neutral, wipe everything off the table and ask yourself, what earns a seat back at the table? And then I have another coach that I work with, my energy coach. She always says to me, ask yourself, is this good for me? Is this good for me? Does this feel good? So as I started looking at reintroducing things back at the table, asking what earns a seat back at the table, I had to ask myself, what feels good? Does this feel good to put back on the table? And is this good for me? Does this feel good? Is this like that question? I ask myself that question a million times a day. Everything from, is taking this client good for me? Is, doing this, like I have some contacts that I manage some of their stuff. Is this good for me? Even last week at a conference, there was a giant group of friends where we were formally intertwined and now we're not because of how something shifted and at this conference, and they wanted to do a huge group photo. And because of a lot of the things that I've talked about on here, and very specifically some stuff just that I'd found out that week, it's so wild to find out years later the good, the bad, and the not that pretty and super ugly, the things that were said about you behind your back. And sometimes it's awesome and sometimes it's not. And so in that moment, I sat there, and while, person after person after person was like, aren't you going to come get in our group photo of probably like 25, 30 people? I just put my hand to my chest and I said, is this good for me? And my body instantly answered, no, it isn't. And you don't owe anyone being in that photo. And so I encourage you to do that, to just take your hand and put it to your chest and ask yourself, is this good for me? And regardless of the people who are going to be annoyed, frustrated, or you might let down, you have to honor your own body. And the more you're going to do that, the more in alignment you're going to feel, and the greater your life will be. I promise you. I also, during this, what earns a seat at the table, I allowed myself unlimited patio time. If you follow me on Instagram, you are highly aware of the unlimited patio time. And I didn't even care that it got up to 118 degrees outside. I was out there a lot, and sometimes in the middle of the day, grateful that I had shade and a Stanley to keep my water really, really cold. But it just felt good. It felt good to be out there in my creation spot. It's where it's just Selah to me. It's a heaven on earth. And it's where I do my best thinking and where I do my best sorting. Number 5, the 5th thing I did was I put all of this into application. So everything that came out of doing my own alignment edit and asking, what earns a seat back at the table? Out of all of that, I put it into application. I have a weekly planning tool I'm super obsessed with. I've been using it all my life. My mom taught me how to use it when I was a little kid. And I put all of the things on this weekly planning tool, which is a part of my alignment edit that I do with clients. And I started implementing this new schedule and then asking myself within that, what feels good? Like what still feels good? Now that I'm actually pulling it out of theory and putting it into action, is this actually working, or are there some adjustments that I need to make? The 6th thing that I did, I had some really tough conversations. Really, really tough conversations. I started probably by the second week of July, I would say, my friend Paula was here and I was just talking to her about what I think I was going to be doing and just the level of excellence I could really feel God pulling me in. God, universe, whatever's good for you. Like I could just feel God pulling me to need to go after a certain level of excellence that I'd never done before and some goals that I'd never done before and bringing me back to areas to go achieve things and gain things that I'd, kind of areas of life I'd played in before, but never really gone full out before, just because I couldn't. Sometimes there's environments where we can't play full out because of some situations that are going on there. And now I have the opportunity where I can play full out. And I said to her, I think I'm about to enter a season where I'm going to be significantly elevating my excellence. And she said to me, what? She's like, you're going to be elevating your excellence. I was like, yes, significantly. And she, basically said like, well, that blows my mind because I look at you and you already have so much excellence in all that you do. And I said, I know. And I feel like God is calling me to bring it to a new level. And that doesn't overwhelm me. It doesn't scare me. It actually kind of excites me. But what it does mean is there's a lot of good in my life that I'm going to have to release to be able to step into that great. It doesn't mean that my life is going to require more time of me. It means that the time I have needs to be spent a little bit differently, a little bit more efficiently and better. And I think that's great. But it also meant having some hard conversations with, some people that I have on staff that help me about if, they're willing to elevate their level of excellence going into this season. Some people that I've been helping with them, some things like if that's going to align in this next season, what that looks like, their expectations of me, if I'm going to be able to keep doing the things that I've been doing. I tried really hard to fire myself from being Kobe's booster president. I'm still trying. He keeps saying no. I keep saying, expect less of me then. And, but even with that, I said, here's the deal. We're not like concessions, not happening. Not happening at all. We looked at the numbers and the stats. At the end of the day, the profit wasn't there. And I think the profit was maybe $100. And I said, well, I'll donate $200. So we don't have to do that because I was the one who really ended up having to do that. And so I know there's going to be some people who are annoyed. I'm sure there's going to be people who are pissed. And I don't freaking care. If they want to do the concessions, then they can do the concessions. And they can stop their day at 11 on game days. And they can do that. Because, one thing that Kobe does want to do is he wants to do team dinners at our house the night before home games. And so I said, well, I can't give both. I can give one, but I absolutely can't give both. And I would rather host 22 boys at my house than run concessions for all of their parents at the home games, because truly feeding 22 boys in like 90 minutes is so much quicker than what goes into a day of concessions. But I had to have those tough conversations. I had to say, I'm no longer willing to do this thing. And if you really believe it needs to be done, then you're the one who needs to do 100% of it, because I will be doing absolutely none of it. Number 7, I did Shauna Van Bogart's vision board reset. She is one of my favorite people in my life. Y'all, I encourage you. She actually only had this open for a blip of a moment later on this spring. And as of last week, she's opened it up at a way cheaper rate for like $40 or $44 or something like that. And so I want to encourage you to go grab her vision board reset. It is not at all what I thought it was going to be. I will tell you that. I highly encourage you to get the cute little linen book that she recommends that you get. If you're watching on the YouTube, you can see this cute little linen book. And instead of doing a vision board, you do more of a vision book. She calls it your primer book, kind of like you prime a wall, you're priming your vision. And she guides you through this 7-day journey with really good little meditations to creating this vision board book for you. And one of the exercises in there was joy mapping, essentially. She calls it joy cartography, which is basically joy mapping, where you kind of you can kind of like write joy at the top of a page or joy in the center of a page. And you start drawing all the things around this page. If you follow my Instagram, you've seen it. I'll post it again just so y'all know once this episode is out and you can look at it And basically, when I did that, it brought a huge, I did it so organically. I did it on a Sunday morning, sitting on my patio. Y'all, I fell into a time warp. I'm not kidding. I started doing this. I know it was at 9 o'clock because the alarm goes off on my phone every day at 9 where my notifications turn on. And I walked inside and the next time I blinked and I walked inside and it was 12:45. And I'll never forget walking in Kobe's office going, did you know it's 12:45? And he goes, what? I go, I just did this thing called joy mapping and I fell into a freaking time warp doing it. I swear to y'all, I thought it was 45 minutes and it was hours went by creating this joy map and just focusing on all the tiny wild things from friends to airplanes to I love going to Costco and walking up and down every aisle. It just brings a lot of joy to my life. It makes me so happy. And so all those tiny itty bitty little things, writing all of that all over this joy map that I created, that is a part of her vision board reset. And so it was really wild to do it, to experience all the areas in life that bring me joy. Like one of the things I wrote down under writing down about my niece and nephews, my littles, was one of my nephews, Barrett, when he was here they were here for 9 days at the end of the school year. And we were in Sprouts, which is like a miniature Whole Foods. And there are these, I think it's like Stony Brook or something. There are these itty bitty, they look like tiny little milk bottles. And they pretty much have liquid yogurt in them. And he saw them on the bottom of the shelf in the fridge section and he ran over, whipped open the fridge, grabbed them and held them in the air. And he goes, can I have these tiny little milkshakes? And then as he was at our house, he would get more. But he would ask in the middle of the day, can I have one of my tiny little milkshakes? And so now we have this saying in our house of like, let's get a tiny little milkshake. And it makes us think of him every time. And you guys, it's things like that I put on my joy map. And that it's like, not just them alone. Like, yes, them. Like, they bring me so much joy to my life. But what are the itty bitty tiny little things about them that when I think of those moments bring so much joy to my soul, a huge smile to my face? And so those are the things that you want to write down when you dive into doing a joy map. But it also shined a light on there were areas of my life that did not make the joy map and I didn't even think about it or realize it until after I was done. And so doing that alongside of the activity of what earns a seat back at the table, yeah, you can imagine. It was good. I highly recommend doing it all at the same time. And then the 8th thing that I did was, y'all, I really let God take care of me. So like, universe, God, whatever you want to do, how you want to say it. But I really, really let God take care of me over those 6 weeks. And, I just, in my adulthood, have been in a culture where if you're not working, you're not producing. And if you're not producing, you're not winning and you're not having income and all the things. And I've worked so diligently removing myself from the belief of that culture. And I can tell y'all that I had my highest income month of the year in July. And things that I had worked so dang hard to get to come to me effortlessly came to me in the month of July. And I believe that it's sometimes we have to stop forcing. There's a book, you don't need to get the book, but the book is called Power vs. Force. And I was told to read it about a decade ago. And in the book Power vs. Force, there is the energy scale. And you guys, this is not some weird, wild woo-woo thing. It is like real, it is science, it is science, it is God, it is all of it combined. But the point is, it's like the lowest vibrational frequency is things, like shame. And then you've got apathy and guilt and gratitude, and you keep moving up from there, and then joy and enlightenment are at the top. And things like that literally carry a vibrational frequency. Just like a rock carries a vibrational frequency, we as humans carry vibrational frequencies, and we are automatically drawn to the same people with our like vibrational frequency. Like our heart literally sends out a frequency and we are drawn towards that. And so I think sometimes there is this thing that we have to do. When you hear the phrase, you have to slow down to speed up, sometimes it's like you have to stop and take a breath. Elevate your frequency, your literal physical freaking frequency, to be able to then go back and attract all that you've been trying to force to come into your life. Because I do believe that God loves me and everything goes my way. I do believe that everything always turns out for my good. I think where we left off, y'all, I got in a car accident, the first car accident of my life. I was sitting at a red light and minding my own business with my family on vacation, and a girl not paying attention plowed me in the back at full speed, didn't slow down, brake, nothing. Crunched like crazy the back of my car. My car had to go in for, well, basically that happened the end of May, and I really just got my car back in the last 10 days or something. It was like a 7-week debacle, however that ended up being. And what's really cool was during that time, the rental that we ended up getting is Kobe's dream truck. It's this truck that he's been talking about like crazy. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, talk about like putting it out into the universe, manifesting the heck out of it. Here we are. He literally talked about this everywhere we went. And I get hit in the back with my car and he gets to drive his dream truck around, even in the right color, everything. We had it for a month. And it's little things like that, y'all, where I just look like, it didn't, I mean, yes, obviously it was annoying. It was a little bit frustrating. It took me a month for her insurance company to do a single thing about it. But I will tell y'all, in the very end, I feel like I came out on top, and I don't know how but I also think that that's my mental view, right? Like my mental view of life is everything only happens for me. And so even when things like car accidents happen, I ask myself, only good things happen to me. So what is good? What is the greatness that is absolutely going to come out of this situation? And so, letting God take care of me, having my highest income month this year, and realizing that there's beautiful things in life like compound interest and previous activity as an entrepreneur, that those are beautiful things. Compound interest and previous activity as an entrepreneur are two very beautiful things. I always say to my parents, because I've been an entrepreneur all my little life, I started with babysitting and then working in people's offices. I've been 1099 all my life. There was a tiny little stint where I worked for the corporate world and, I got fired. That didn't work out very well for me. My career therapist told me in my early 20s in college that I am not an employee and I just need to accept that. I took the job anyways. I got fired. I went back and I said, you're right, I'm wrong. Let's figure out a business. And so, that's where I've always been. And she said, it's a little bit your personality and a lot about how you were raised. And so the two of them together just make you an entrepreneur. And so I've always had a really hard time with the concept that you show up to work every day and the work that you do doesn't pay you past today. Like I have a really hard time with that thought, because I think that all work should compound, pay you forever, and pay you dividends in your future life. So, because I have that thought, I think is another reason why I really could let God take care of me with ease, because I know that I showed up all those days when I was supposed to show up. And so my businesses would take care of me when I made that decision to go on a sabbatical. So what now, right? That's the question. What now? Where are we going? Y'all, season 2, you can listen to the trailer, but basically I'm in my absolute unhinged excellence elevation era, and I'm going to be sharing every step of the way. I am sure that I will have as many celebrations as I do tears over these next 6 months for season 2. We are bringing back our unscripted series. So if you're listening to this and you want a free clarity coaching session, email our office and we will get you scheduled. You can go to our website, you can email our office, you can shoot me a DM on Instagram. I am looking for people who would love a free clarity coaching session in exchange for being on our unscripted series. You can hide your face and your name so no one will know who you are but you. And the third thing we're focusing on for season 2 of the All Things Excellence podcast is Women of Excellence. We are diving in behind the scenes and talking to women founders to talk about what happened that got them to where they are. And my goal with that is just to inspire y'all that amongst all the freaking crazy wild madness of life, right? 80% of the time we're doing all the things to kill it, and 20% of the time we are a freaking hot mess express with 5-day-old hair and really super cold coffee, just trying to make it happen and keep everyone alive and fed. I want to inspire you through their stories to show those really raw face planting moments, how they kept pushing on and they got what they wanted to go and what they wanted to do in life. So where I'm going the next 6 months is where our podcast is going. Where I'm going the next 6 months is, number one, most important, is this podcast. It is... y'all know this was my little girl dream. It is my little girl dream to have my own little Super Soul Sunday. And what a beautiful world we live in where you can start your own podcast and you can have that. And so, our current goal is that the All Things Excellence, the podcast, will rise to be a top 100 podcast for women. The second thing, I'm still focusing on clarity coaching with women who are just aching to feel that full circle alignment in their life. Sometimes it's that 2%, like life is so good, but we've got this 2% ache or apathy or blah, the mundaneness, and you're not quite sure where to start, what to do, what to pivot. That's my sweet spot. I love working with women who are feeling that, or they know what they're going after, but they feel like they need a 2% pivot to be able to elevate that excellence in their area after all the things that they're chasing. Or they're just super confused and I don't even know where to start. Help. I love it. So focusing on that with the coaching. And then the third, we talked about this at the end of season 1, but I'm bringing back a focus on my business mentorship and my direct sales career. And man, y'all, over the last week, I just learned things that I didn't know. I didn't know that the things that we never know that are happening behind the scenes. And then when you learn them and you realize just the level at which God has your back and that He's in those rooms that you're not in, hearing what's being said for good or for really freaking bad. And I can see now why I had to reclaim that roar. These last 6 months, I had to find my voice in the rooms and the spaces where it had been silenced. And while I feel like I started coming back to that area of my life, very much kicking and screaming, very reluctantly, y'all know I did not want to do that. I feel now so clear that I'm going back to that for a short season because I've been called to, first of all, reclaim my roar and use my voice in that space where I should have been able to do it the whole entire time. But most importantly, I feel a huge call to help women come into that space for a season to help fund their passion projects. Right now, I have a beautiful client that I'm working with. I love her so much. Y'all will definitely see her on here. She will be on here soon. And I love the process that we went through, helping her really find her sweet spot and launch her Savor Society mastermind. Her name is Savannah. And we started working together first with coaching, figuring out her Enneagram, doing some clarity coaching. She's one of those people, she's tried all the things and just never really found her spot, found her thing. And so we were able to discover that. And then a few weeks into that, she realized that she wanted to come into this direct sales space just as a short-term thing to fund this new mission. Because literally, why not? Why wouldn't you? And that's just another place that we get to work together. And through being able to do that with her, I realized there are so many women in the world that they don't want to step into something like direct sales as part of their identity or a career or anything like that, but they do want the permission to do it for a really short-term season to be able to fund their wildest dreams because they need it to be flexible. They need their ability to create this extra income, to be flexible, to really go after and build all they feel like God is calling them to build in this season. So I am back there. And finally, y'all, a quick hit list of all the things that are going to be launching over the next 6 months. We're going to be having online courses I got to write while I was on my sabbatical launching. I'm going to be start planning one of my first intimate retreats with 8 women. We're going to be working on the pieces of inviting people into a women's mastermind. I'm going to launch a freaking book club. I'm so excited to launch this book club. If y'all don't know this, for the last bazillion 20 years, I've been reading leadership books, Voracious Leader, and people reach out to me constantly saying, this is, what book should I read? And I'm like, what's going on? What season of life are you in? And I have hundreds of books that I have read, and I will recommend a couple books to them and say, just pray over it, whatever your heart leads to, go read that book right now. This would be a great book for you to read in this season. And at one time, y'all, I even had a YouTube channel for just a little bit, Chelsea Lee Reads. And so it just came to me how I was going to do this. So this book club, what's going to happen, I'm going to have a book that I read. I'm going to give you a 15-minute video audio summary, journal prompts. There's going to be a private Facebook group for community, a monthly Zoom where we discuss the book, and access to the archives. It will be built as a course on the framework of my website. It's already set up for it. And y'all will get all of this sweetness for only $17 a month. It's going to be beautiful. You can buy the book. You don't have to buy the book. I'm going to send you a 15-minute summary and obviously a PDF of the cliff notes that I take during the book when I go to then record the 15-minute summary. So it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be awesome. All things excellence. The book club. Are you freaking kidding me, y'all? I gotta give a shout out to my friend Cher, who really helped nurture that vision. It was honestly in a coaching conversation that we were having, and she said something and it just wham, dropped in my soul. And I knew in a moment that this was going to be the next phase rollout of the All Things Excellence brand. So, if you have a book club, you have to have merch, right? There has to be a shirt and a coffee mug. It's required. It's gotta happen. My friend Coop and I we've already previously decided there's gotta be mugs. And so now there's a reason for the mugs. So there we are. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for just loving me through my little break, even through the sabbatical. I know there were so many of y'all that were going through all of the past episodes and listening to them. I want you to know it's such a big deal. As the downloads increase, as the checking the 5 stars and leaving a reviews, as those increase, all that does is it gives us greater exposure and helps us reach more women who are looking for this place where other women are just living their hot mess express lives, but craving more excellence in their lives. So thank you for just hanging out with us. Welcome back for season 2. And y'all, thanks for listening. I will see you next time. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start, because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.